Welcome to my early Shadowcaster build, you dark bastards. As the title says, this is for early game only. I believe early game is the toughest on very hard difficulty which I'm playing on, so knowing what to choose and what to focus on and how to use it is of utmost importance to dominate in fights. Don't worry, this build isn't that gear hungry, meaning you won't have to farm or do God knows what to get some gear to be able to play with this build. This is not the thing at all. Destiny I'm using at this point is Arcanist because I have enough points in Finesse and Sorcery. We can combine piercing and elemental damage with Arcanist because this Destiny increases both. We also get increased critical hit chance, which is extremely important. Now many of you probably don't know what Panic is. Panic is status effect that occurs when enemies are set on fire. It is difficult to recognize when Panic has set in, but you'll know that you are hitting panicked enemy by your 100% critical hit chance. Meaning every hit on that particular opponent will be critical hit. That's how you know enemy is panicking. Finesse and Sorcery are your things to go to for this particular build. Finesse should be your primary one. First level that up to, I don't know, 10, 14, something like that, and then start putting points into Sorcery. Reason behind this is that Finesse has some really nice upgrades and you don't have to waste points on some sorcery stuff you won't need, at least for this setup. Frost Trap is really nice because it does elemental damage. We get increased elemental damage done with this hybrid build. It also slows enemies, which gives us more room to act. Assassin's Art is really good to insta-kill unaware enemies or at least damage them severely. Shadow Flare is a great single target ability that can continuously stagger enemies while also dealing decent damage. However, its animation at the end can leave you open when battling enemies that are surrounding you. Then we have Dagger and Fey Blade Mastery. I'm using both weapons. Reason behind this is that during the early game I can't really choose one weapon and stick with it, so the best one that I have at the moment I'm using. It's either Fey Blade or Dagger. Precise Weaponry has some really nice upgrades and I've put this many points into that tree for now. From here on out you can continue leveling Fey Blade, Dagger, Mastery, whatever. These would be my go-to abilities for Finesse, for first 10 to 12 levels. In Sorcery tree start off by putting first points into Stormbolt, upgrade it couple of times, and also Arcane Weaponry. Arcane Weaponry affects Chakrams. We are gonna use Chakrams in this build. It's gonna be our secondary weapon. By putting 5 points into that first set of upgrades, we can unlock second set of upgrades. Most important second tier upgrades are, in my opinion, Sphere of Protection to reduce damage taken, its sustained ability so it will be activated all the time, Mark of Flame because that way we can put enemies on fire, which means we can trigger panic mode. Additional thing I went with is obviously Conservative Casting to reduce soul casting costs by significant amount. As I said earlier, primary weapons are either Fey Blades or Daggers. Reason behind this is that both have piercing damage property. If they can also do elemental damage, that would be perfect. My secondary weapon are Chakrams. Reason behind this is that Chakrams are really good long range weapon. They are not my primary weapon because they have only average speed of attack, while Daggers and Fey Blades have very high speed of attack. They are far more reliable in short range than Chakrams. Chakrams, however, are more reliable than Bow at long range, even though they have shorter range than Bow. We can also upgrade Chakram damage output and its combos through Sorcery tree. Depends what you have at the moment, but good mix between Finesse and Sorcery type armor pieces would be perfect for this kind of build at this stage in the game. Reason behind this is that Sorcery gear gives you some kind of mana regen boost usually, while Finesse type armor gives you some kind of critical hit damage boost. They both work very well with this build. Most important stat, however, is increased critical hit chance. This is a random effect that can be rolled on any type of gear. Great thing about having daggers and Fey Blades as your main weapon is that you can perform sneak attacks. Stealth is very welcomed for this build, as having one enemy less to deal with at the beginning of combat, or even a couple of enemies less, is fantastic start. Have Sphere of Protection activated at all times. After that we can use Mark of Flame to ignite enemies, maybe if we are lucky setting them in panic mode. Now the dance starts. If you are far away from the enemies, use chakrams before they get to you. Try to set down Frost Trap as well. When enemies get to close range, start combining dagger or Feyblade combos with Shadow Flare. What I do is I try to attack enemy twice and then Shadow Flare. Twice Shadow Flare, twice Shadow Flare. Reason behind this is that third attack usually leaves you quite open, as it has long recovery time. However, there are good delayed combos for both weapons, so try to use them as well, as they can put status effects on enemies through finesse and sorcery upgrades. That's the way I deal with enemies. If they are far away, chakrams, Frost Trap, Mark of Flame. When they get close, Shadow Flare plus daggers or Feyblades. It's that bloody simple. Be careful about using Shadow Flare. Shadow Flare is great when all enemies are close to each other and in front of you. That's all fine, but when they are spread out, you're gonna attack one enemy while other will punish you, because second attack from Shadow Flare leaves you wide open for counterattack. So only use Shadow Flare in 1 versus 1 situations, or if enemies are in front of you, close to each other. Anyway, that's all for this video. Hope this helps any early game Shadowcasters, and stay tuned for more Kingdoms of Amalur content.